All right, welcome everybody to Chart Monkeys, the official Cyber Kongs weekly show. Man, it's a new year. It's a brand new market. Everything's changed in a matter of a couple of weeks, I guess, like it always does. But excited to get into that with you guys here today. My name's Huda. I'm joined by, Henry the Grape, the great Henry the Grape. Welcome, sir.
Hey, happy 2026. We're not supposed to say that anymore, but fuck it.
Well, it's our first time, so you can.
Okay, yeah. And I am very excited to be here today. No, I'm happy to be here because we got fucking the legend Enzo with us.
Yeah, hey guys, happy to be here.
His icon looks so small compared to us, but he's such a big presence that it just feels fitting to have him. There we go.
just because.
Great show coming up. Make sure to follow us at CyberKongs, at Chart Monkeys. You can find us on Twitch, YouTube, and on X. So gotta throw that in there. And give Enzo a follow too, at Enzoblue on X.
Good guy, doing some cool shit. I'm gonna poke him at some point during the show, see if we can get him to spill. I know he can't, but see if we can get him to spill the beans on anything cool he's working on now. I know he can't, but not doing my job if I don't ask.
Before we really kind of get into the show, I just want to say, because Enzo's a great friend of ours, a great friend of mine. I worked with him for years at CyberKongs. He is legitimately one of the smartest people I've ever met. And I kind of jokingly but seriously say, when Enzo started in Kongs, he was sort of the counterplay a lot. People would FUD certain projects, and Enzo would always come in with really sharp takes that he was most of the time correct on. And I just would notice him, he was rocking an Azuki PFP in Kongs where he received a lot of hate for that. But he was just no, this is something that I like. He liked the art. And the reality is, I'd watch him and I was this is a guy that I want on the team. And when it came time to kind of expand the team, he was obviously on the very, very short list of people I wanted to see on there. He is so sharp. He's a legend. He doesn't talk about himself like that. So that's why I just wanted to get that in there. He's one of those guys, we kind of talk about first vision, that little thing I made up of people who just see things really early. He's in that category of guys, just sees things early, sees things for what they are. And I'm just really genuinely happy to call him a friend of mine because he's an awesome dude. Oh, last point. Rarely was I ever impressed with people that were younger than me. I always used to have this thing if you're younger, you're less experienced, you don't really know shit. He is younger than me, and I really learned to trust him and trust his opinion and his kind of foresight on things. So yeah, happy to have you with us here today, Enzo.
No, I appreciate the words. I can't believe that it was 3 years ago. You kind of took a shot at me and brought me onto the team. Time's definitely flown, but I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah. I guess maybe for people who don't know you, just maybe give a little bit of a intro, who you are, what you do, what you're doing, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, predominantly come from a TradFi background, an educational background. So did a PhD at Cambridge in philosophy, quickly went on to do investment banking at Citigroup, and then had the absolute pleasure of getting a phone call from Henry and joining the CK team, which I was on for 2.5 years, probably the best 2.5 years of my life, and met some great people, did some great things. And then recently joined Abstract on the growth side. So Abstract's an L2 focused on consumer crypto, I'm sure many people have heard of. But yeah, that's kind of the brief rundown and brief story.
And how's the transition been coming from degenerate CK to Abstract? I know we can't go crazy deep into stuff, but how are things? Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, it's really good. Incredibly talented team, extremely motivated with a big vision. Can't get too much into the weeds of kind of what's going on, but it's definitely different going from kind of a 6 to 8 person startup to something slightly more scaled, and on the operation side, slightly bigger. But I think when you work in Web3, there's always that element of degeneracy, and I think that's what makes kind of crypto so special for any project, whether operating on institutional levels or acting as an NFT project. But the transition's been good, and they're a great group of guys over there. Yeah.
Dude, what's it like working with Saigar? I don't know if you interact with him a lot, but that's one of those guys out there that I'm just like special. Would love to pick his brain one day, right? Did you work with him?
Yeah, I work with Saigar closely. Incredibly nice guy, probably one of the most intelligent and talented individuals I've come across. And it's a real kind of pleasure working with him on a day-to-day basis. And I think when I first kind of got into the NFT component of CT, I'd always see kind of Saigar's posts come up on the technical elements when he developed like 721A. So it's been really cool working with him closely. But he's kind of what you see on X, just a very, very talented guy.
Yeah, one of the guys behind, I think, AIXBT, I believe.
I'm not sure. Potentially. It wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, I'm not sure on that.
Yeah, man, really, really, really cool. Okay, well, I'll go easy on you on anything abstract related. I think down the line we'll get deeper into that stuff. But for now, I'm glad you're here, especially as we get into some market talk and we try to, we recenter ourselves and we get ready for what's to come here. And again, the market's very, very different than how we left it off. Okay, so like I saw a post from Pio talking about 1010. And it just, I don't need to be reminded about that date. None of us do. It was such a significant date. And his point on his post was, it was such a big day that we just call it 1010 and everybody knows what it is, knows what it was. It was one of the most impactful days we've had here in crypto, period. And God, if it wasn't that, putting its grips around our neck and throttling us, at the end of the year, I don't know what else to call it, but that's what colored the end of the year come January 1st. And a lot of us expect new year, new market, new price action. And it's exactly what we're seeing. The year started off pretty damn hot. In fact, we'll throw it up here. At this point, this post here is a few days out of date, but the market cap, crypto market cap, 2.9 trillion on December 31st, up to 3.12 trillion just at that point, 5 days later. Nice start to the year. It's what? I don't know. It's people having the green light to go trade again and what, but we've seen that in prices. Bitcoin, we'll look at prices here in a minute, but Bitcoin touched 94K. ETH is over 3K now, which is beautiful. 3,200, I want to say. Again, we'll look. But market's feeling, I think, really, really, really nice. What's your guys' take, just, kind of surface level on how the market's feeling right now?
Enzo, you're good with this stuff. I'm going to sound like a retard, so you go.
Yeah, I'm not as in tune as I was, but I'm still slightly precarious, I think. I put out a post kind of like a week after 1010, and I think if that kind of like lit cascade didn't happen, we probably would have seen all-time highs again in November, and seen a pretty good run amongst alts as well. But I think the contagion did happen, and I think the impacts actually haven't come to surface yet. And I think, I don't know, trying to trade in range is just never a good thing to do. And we're certainly in range, have been for kind of 3 months now. But rejected 94 levels, I think we probably go down to low 80s, high 70s, and still range for a couple months here before potentially going to the upside or looking at kind of meeting equities and precious metals. But yeah, I wouldn't trade in this range though.
I kind of knew Enzo was going to come in with like that. I knew, dude, somehow I just knew it, like that you're still kind of feeling the upper 70s, which, to be fair, you've been on that for some time, like thinking that that's where that's where we might bottom out. Yeah, could be totally realistic. It's
reasonable and it makes sense, I think, for guys especially who look at charts. Those are the ranges a lot of people have us at, at. And then I live in like hopium land, and I come up with all these stories of that makes sense, but, and I'm always looking for those but scenarios. But if this happens, and if this happens, and if this happens, and that's a dangerous place to be in. I try to not trade based on that. I'll gamble. I will definitely gamble there, but yeah, we'll talk some stories about, what that might look like. Like something breaks this year, either the 4-year cycle's broken this year, or some other significant things that happen. If they happen, we'll break other things, as in like we are getting rate cuts this year. I think that's almost for sure. Probably not in January, but rate cuts are, I think they're almost definitely going to happen. We've never had we've never had rate cuts in a bear market. If we're in a bear market, some people will say we are, but something's going to change pretty drastically this year. But we'll see. Biggest X factor is, and not to get too political, but we have to talk about it, is what happened in Venezuela. crazy story. And you know, like there's so many ways that could play out. And one of the ways it's playing out right now is all about oil. And the oil situation does change things maybe drastically. And so now I'm your Venezuelan stock market quant. And as everybody else is, it's just what we do here in crypto. But I mean, their stock market is cooking right now. Right. And I think there's an announcement from it's either Rubio or Trump today, something about, yes, we're importing millions of barrels of oil a day and we're selling them. And it's like actively happening, which is just wild stuff. But look, I don't know, maybe I'm connecting dots that shouldn't be connected, but it feels like the stock market is loving that news. I mean, again, maybe these dots shouldn't be connected, but that news got people excited. It's got something in the market excited. And now we've got S&P 500, another all-time high here. Metals, right? Bitcoin, gold back over 4,500. I think silver hit 81. And I don't know if it's up more today or what, but silver's now the second most valuable asset in the world. It flipped NVIDIA to get that number 2 spot. So it's then gold, then silver, then NVIDIA. So wild stuff happening. Of course, we're all hoping that crypto plays that catch-up game that Enzo, you were saying, you know, that's not now, but, you know, certainly later it joins that conversation. We'll see.
Unless all the crypto bros, you know, we have a strong contingent of Kongs that are deep into precious metals, which is kind of cool. Like I've been into gold and silver for, you know, a long while now. Our dad, who is poor as hell, was always talking about like gold and silver. He still texts me regularly with updates on it. So to be honest, like when like end of the year, crypto wasn't doing amazing, at least the majors, it's always kind of nice to have at least something bullish to be talking about. And that's been metals. Although like I'm not in the market to buy right now. To me, I feel like it feels like top blasting a bit. But it's nice to see. It's nice to see momentum on precious metals.
Dude, it's cool seeing crypto guys branching out, right? I don't invest, I trade crypto, or I don't even like to call myself a trader, but I want to branch out. I want to go and buy gold, silver, platinum. What I want to get into that, but I'm not yet. I like seeing other guys who I can tell are branching out. And there's more crypto guys playing the stock market than I'm used to seeing on the timeline, at least. It's good and refreshing. And part of me feels like our game, a lot of people caught on to it as far as how quickly you need to get in and out of things, right? And we've learned at this point, most things are a sell the news event, right? I don't know if the like more traditional stock market plays that game quite yet. I wonder if our guys are going to come in and just wreck their industry, right? Because we play things, I think, a little faster, more aggressive. I don't know, but I do know that there's some fresh blooded money coming into the stock market with all these guys here. Not enough to move the needle, but it's pretty damn cool. I like it. I like this space maturing and traders learning and you know, trying different markets. We got at least some bullish news though on the crypto front, and I'm hoping for much more of this year. But look, we had this what felt like a coordinated attack on Bitcoin later last year. It was directed at Strategy, but we had this word that Strategy might get delisted from the MSCI indexes, and this is one of those core ways people invest in MicroStrategy. You buy into the index, you get exposure to MicroStrategy. If it gets excluded, and we knew we were waiting till January to find out for sure if it would be excluded, but if it were, we're talking billions in dollars that outflow from that from Strategy, from being delisted there. So that was a big win we heard yesterday of Strategy getting confirmation they're not going to be delisted. They will stay in those indexes. Great for Strategy. It's good for Bitcoin too, but one bullish story for us to start the year, on the Bitcoin front. So we'll take it. We'll absolutely take it.
GG Saylor.
GG's Michael Saylor. Goddamn right. Yeah. Quickly, just to get a feel for where we're at, I want to refresh real quick. But yeah, here we go again. Yeah, we did touch 94K. Enzo, others think we're heading to upper 80s, and then over the year, whatever, 70s. All that might happen. I think that makes sense that it happens. Again, the traders I know all have that same thought. Even Dr. Profit, who I've just more newly look, I've seen his stuff out there for a while. He's a great trader, but I'm on board with his thesis of sideways and mostly trending down most of the year. And he's got us also there, 70s or so. Still hopium that that's not how it plays out. We'll see. But anyway, Bitcoin right now, 91K, ETH 3,100, Ripple 220, BNB 898, and Solana 135. So hot start to the year, but the past day or so here, the pullback feels like it started. Is this just what we're going to continue seeing, right? Or is this just a little short-term, little pullback, and then it's game on back to the maybe upper 90s? Don't know yet. I'm not even going to pretend to know. I am sitting back watching, and I am trading now. I am buying things now, but I'm being really, really selective. I'm not all in. I don't trust this pump. It's not go time for me yet. You know what I mean? Are you guys active trading anything? Or are you kind of on the sidelines?
I'm not.
Yeah, I don't active trade. I do mostly DeFi, so it's normally like yield farming. So typically a strategy that you want to do is predict kind of how a cycle plays out, and then rotate heavily your portfolio into stables, and then you can use those stables to get yield, and you can do that in a plethora of ways. And the most effective way to really do it is get yield in new protocols that have an airdrop coming, which like boosts the APY. So that's how I've been playing it for quite a few months now. But I wouldn't trade anything actively. I guess what I'd be interested on is, if we do get your thesis, Huda, what do you actually buy? Like what coins? Because it's very, very apparent in the last kind of 2 years that you can't just buy anything and it goes up. So you need to be extremely selective. And I'm interested on what you guys would be looking at and how it plays out from an investment thesis.
Yeah. So Henry, nothing for you? No buys, no nothing?
You know, I've just been playing everything really cautious lately because honestly, I don't know what to buy right now. You know, I hold Bitcoin, I have some ETH, but like there's nothing out there to, like Enzo's point. I don't know that we see. Well, I'm pretty certain we don't see alt season in any capacity that like we used to, right? So I think things like Pengu are the type of tokens that will do well. But like the majority of alts, there's so many of them, and I'm like, most of them just have absolutely zero narrative. So I just feel a bit safer right now, just not gambling, because that's kind of what it feels like right now, is just gambling.
And you know what? That's a better way to put it. Like what I'm doing is gambling. I'm not trading. I'm not making some like well thought out plays. I'm gambling on if the market does get hot, remains what it is now, or picks up and really needs to pick up. What are the coins that could see maybe the biggest benefit? What's the best risk reward out there right now? One of those things, and people probably laugh at this, I'll pull it up here, but that boy, I'm pretty sure Enzo will laugh. Hang on. It's the Nick Shirley coin, which yikes. I get like yikes. It's got some magic to it. Still, it doesn't look great. 3.8 mil, right? You don't have a lot of believers in that content coin meta. But the gamble is, I'm not sure there's a ton of downside on a coin like this, which is, even if it's not the biggest content coin on base by market cap, it's probably the most significant, the most viral guy, I mean, almost in the world. And the coin that I would imagine, if base is going to push something, I'm not convinced they will, but I imagine that's the coin they might push, maybe would push. Add to that Ansem now shilling this coin, and I imagine has a bag of it. And all the influencers will talk about this coin if it works. If it doesn't work, same thing. They'll talk about it. They'll point about it and saying that this thing doesn't die. But what I know is this will get mind share. This will get the big guys talking about it. And when Ansem did talk about it, this thing ripped to 14 mil. So gamble.
Last week, right?
Last week
wasn't long ago. Is that
Friday went from like 2 point something up to 14, and I'm like, we'll get another Ansem tweet out of it. We will get another viral Nick Shirley video out of it. Does base capitalize on it? Do people even want to touch it? Those are the things I don't know. But if I'm looking for gambles, this is the perfect fit for me. Again, can it go lower? Can it go to 2 mil? Yeah, dude. Yes, I kind of expect it does. But the right tweet, does this go back to 10 mil? 14 mil, can it find a new all-time high? Man, yes. And so I'll gamble on this, knowing I can lose it all, but we're so used to seeing meme coins at 30 mil, 50 mil, whatever. And we've been getting those in this market now, which has been nice. So I'll roll the dice on something like that. We'll see when we get a little further, especially on the NFT side. I'm going to show a couple that I bought this week, but again, same kind of thesis of the risk isn't as great as some other things. I'm not buying things that have already pumped. I'm buying them kind of low like this, that, you know, if there's downside, maybe I lose half, and that's a lot, but I don't feel like I'm going to zero. But the upside is there for 2x's, 5x's, 10x's, and they have not seen their top, I don't believe. Or I hope not.
You know,
I think it's. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, please.
I was just going to say it's such an interesting concept, buying when the curve starts coming back down. You saw this with so many Solana runners back in 24 and early 25. And I actually think you take more risk buying after the peak in the hope that it rebounces. So, for example, no one wants to like top buy, like no one wants that. But there's also too much inherent risk with buying on the way down in the hope that you get a reversal, because then you're relying on attention coming back to it and the meta shifting back to what you're buying. So I have a really strict thesis that I won't buy if I've seen that something's peaked and it's coming back down. I'll only buy on the way up, and you obviously try and catch it at the lowest trajectory possible at early velocity.
I like that.
You called it was not a year ago. It must have been like back. Was it the spring, Enzo, when you had called Pengu kind of near the bottom before I think it about 4x'd from there? You had a pretty good eye on that stuff, and you're not much of a chaser anyway. That's never really been your thesis.
I've got 3 theses on trading, and like in these type of periods, I think you just sit on your hands. Number 1 is just buy Bitcoin. I think that's the only asset where if you get kind of like trend reversal and the market goes up, you're guaranteed to make X% on that. Number 2, and what you just alluded to, is called like asymmetric bets. So effectively you take an asset, and what I normally do is benchmark it against competitors. So if you're analyzing the meme space and you look at Pengu, it had more distribution, more IP activations, more coverage, more anything, more relevance than any other meme, but it was valued at like 6x lower than some Solana meme coins. And it just seemed extremely asymmetric at that low in April. So you take a big bet and then you rotate your stables into that coin in the hope that the narrative plays out and that asymmetry turns into symmetry. That's a big thesis. And then the number 3 is I hear a lot of people say that an alt cycle didn't happen, but it did. If you look at what happened on Solana in 24, it was like the biggest alt market I've actually ever seen. I mean, Henry, you're a part of this. Hoodoo, you were trading it well. There was literally billion runners like every week. And
as in alt season was meme season.
Yeah, I think so, because you have like 30 million alts now. So naturally, not all of those alts can rise. There's not ample enough liquidity for it. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say from a trading thesis is you find the subsector, and it's difficult to do, but you try and find the subsector that's going to see this liquidity injection and this meteoric rise. So if you were early to Solana and you had a natural edge, literally in just understanding how to use these trading bots versus anyone else, you absolutely printed last cycle because you caught it instead of like buying something like Polygon and waiting for it to go up in the hope there's an alt season. So that's kind of my free trading thesis.
Man, I'm so with you about that too. The alt season, I'm with you. I think it happened. I think it's what meme coins did. Murad said this. They were gonna, they were like a vampire attack on the traditional altcoins, and that's part of what he sold, a year and a half ago. And I think he's right. I think it's exactly what it was. So it's interesting. Its space is different.
I kind of realized in this conversation, like normally you have like a thing you're doing, some sort of action plan for the cycle, for the year, for whatever time period you're looking at. Like, okay, I'm really focusing on this. I'm going to rotate to stables. I'm going to do some yield farming, etc. I think it's been some months that I've just had really no direction as far as like, what am I even personally looking to do? Some of it's because like it's kind of fucking boring. Like some of it's that, you know what I mean? Like you're in the space to, Enzo, like, yeah, you had $1 billion runners weekly, right? So like when the trenches are on fire, you're there, you're in the trenches. Even if you're not like full time in the trenches, you're kind of keeping an eye on it because those things are happening. Now we get excited for a 20 mil runner. And we're getting kind of like no liquidity across new mints when it comes to NFTs. And so like, it really does at least focus a lot of this into like playing Bitcoin, to your point, or doing some yield farming, because like everything else just feels like a little bit desolate right now. And like, I would hope, like, I know we've had some actions on NFTs and we'll of course talk NFTs today, but like, I would hope that we get some, like meme coins have been heating up a little bit. I know that like people are getting some wins in the trenches, but I just hope we can return to that meta for a little bit of time. I don't even care if it's 6 weeks, just because I feel like that's like a like that's a arena that I know how to play in well. Everything else, farming protocols, etc. Whether it was Aster, whether it was lighter, perp dexes and farming those, I'm like, it isn't fun to me. Like then it becomes like real work. And I know there's people who do it and they're successful at it, but I've always enjoyed the side of Web3 that felt like it's fun while you're doing it, even if you're losing money sometimes doing it, where like perp dex farming was like, dude, that was like legitimate work.
Dude, it's
I
miserable.
Just liked it. Yeah. I didn't like it at all. So I'm hoping we can get a little action back into some of these things that we like doing.
It'll come. It's never in what you think it's going to be. And there's such correlating aspects to like NFTs and meme coins in the fact that nothing was over-indexed. There was no people trying to build out these VC roadmaps and bring institutional rails on. It was literally just what it was, and it was very simplistic, very fun, and very enjoyable, both of those seasons. And to your point, Henry, 90%, 95%, they don't want to farm perp dexes with delta neutral strategies. They want those elements, and it will come back, and it will be something where established teams aren't involved. There's nothing kind of really formal and corporate about it, and it's very fun and raw again. And I think it will definitely come back.
And by fun, like I recall a story, I'll fuck it up, you'll tell it better, of the opportunity where you could buy, it might have been a cow or a squirrel. And I think you went cow instead of squirrel. Yeah. Is that what happened on that one?
Yeah, I was in Barcelona, and I went on, I didn't really get involved in the Solana trend at all, but I loaded up one Sol in a Phantom wallet, and I was like, I'm going to buy a meme coin today. Went on a walk around Barcelona, got back, and I was like, all right, here we go. And do you remember the Google Maps meta? There was like a cow in a field on Google Maps, and it was that or some squirrel coin called Peanut. and both of them, I think Peanut was at like 1.3 mil market cap, and the cow was at like 800k market cap. And I was literally going like squirrel or cow. Went for the cow, went for a ramen, came back. I think by the time I'd finished the ramen, I would have made like 10 Sol on Peanut. And then by the time I woke up the next morning, it would have been 100 Sol. And then if I waited a week, I think it went to 2 bill. So I wouldn't be on this call, and I'd be retired in the Bahamas right now. Dude. But I picked the cow. So that's the fun of it, though. That is the fun of it.
It is. Special times of Web3 of like legitimate fun. Of course, there was 21 and the novelty of it and just the excitement of all of that. And then again, like Enzo, when we were doing like decentralized and Prometheans, that was a load of fun. Just something new, something fresh. The trenches, the shit coins, that meta, like I caught Peanut at 6 mil. And I think I sold like a bit at 200. I know I sold a bit at 700, I think, after the Binance listing. And like those kind of things, like even just talking about like, oh, something ran from nothing to 700 mil or to a bill. We had GOAT, we had Peanut, we AI 16. That
was one. AI16Z went to like 2.5 bill, I think. Like crazy. Yeah.
Insanity, Cerebro, all of these things. I want a little bit of that back. I'm looking forward to that.
Man, I'm hopeful. I'm not sure we get it crazy this year, but I hope. But I am watching for what sector. Like first off, I'm watching for a new meta. Like I feel like the space is primed for a new meta. People are willing and able at this point, but need something fresh or different. And I know we need just, that liquidity back. But dude, I am I'm dialed into the robotics meta. I haven't seen it play out really on chain yet, but I'm still watching to see if it can play out. And a lot of people thinking the AI thing comes back, fast and furious this year. And I can see how it could. And I'm hoping it does. And, again, my finger's really on the pulse of that. But, we've got this CES 2026, expo going on this week, and it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. It appears to be the year of the robots. This is pretty cool. This is the CEO of NVIDIA there. I think this is yesterday, and it's just robots everywhere. And I think that really is the headline coming out of CES, which is, here's Yahoo Finance with like, it's robot time, all robots. So like, if that starts getting hot and exciting and all that, we actually have some plays here on chain to I don't know, maybe make some money on it, and specifically like virtuals. I know that ecosystem very well. I think a lot of you guys do too, but we're about to see some big robotics launches come to virtuals, and I believe in the very short term, I'm gonna guess here in the next month. I bet in the next 4 weeks we see a major launch over there. And why I think that is virtuals yesterday put out a new token launch style, right? They've got their Pegasus launches, which is like a traditional launch, like just you launch a meme coin on Pump Fun, it's just out there, it's born, whatever, it needs to bond. That's what the Pegasus launches are. Unicorn is different. They've got some tax mechanics to it. It's much more like a token works launch, where every minute or so, like a tax goes down. They launch at a low FDV. Titan, on the other hand, is meant for big boys, funded teams. Tokens launching at a 50 mil FDV. So again, you're attracting the bigger players. And they also have to put in, I believe it's $500,000 worth of the virtual token in an LP, right? So they're, again, established teams, probably backed, and they got money to put up too, right? So you're thinking a higher quality of launch. So Virtuals has these partnerships with some big robotics platforms. I think those token launches are coming here soon. I'm watching, man. I'm watching because I think there's some big old plays that are hopefully coming from there. We did get the first token announcement, and it is not a robotics project, but Wasabi Protocol. This was announced yesterday. This token's launching tomorrow, but Wasabi Protocol is their first ever token that's launching here on Virtuals as a Titan launch. So it's going to launch at a 50 mil FDV. I'm not going to touch it personally. So I think 50 mil is maybe it's a little high. Maybe it's a reasonable price. I don't see a ton of upside on that, but just to know that this thing's in motion, I would definitely be paying attention to these Titan launches. Again, they're big. They're big projects, big tokens. I think we'll see some tokens launching here that are, 100, 200 mil FDVs, and those bigger ones, I think, in the robotics sector. So watch out for the robotic stuff really picking up, and you know where to be watching that.
Does this have any correlation to how you used to on virtuals have to stake in order to be able to participate in certain drops, or is this completely different from that?
Well, I mean, same platform, but they did away with all that stuff for the most part. No points on these Titan launches, no even declining tax. It's just it launches at that valuation, already at the lowest point, the 1% tax. So just think of it like a traditional token launch.
Okay.
So
that'll be
easier
interesting
to
to see how that goes. I mean, could you make the argument that if you're going to sit this out, this is not the one to sit out? This is the first, and maybe makes sense to actually play. I mean, 50 mil is that's quite high, but I don't know if there's behind it.
I have trouble seeing Wasabi higher, or I have trouble seeing the Wasabi token at 100 mil. And I could be wrong, but this platform has I think it's 30 mil TVL on the platform. They've done $1 billion volume, which is pretty damn solid. But yeah, again,
right?
Say again.
That was during Blast, though.
It might have been.
Yeah,
so,
I remember very, very well.
Yeah. Okay. This is when Hoot and I were talking earlier. He's like, do you know about Wasabi? And I was like, yeah, but I can't tell you about it. I just remember it. And dude, now it clicked. You were farming Blur pretty hard, right? And Wasabi was one of the protocols you were using.
Yeah, Wasabi was a perp dex on Blast, and also a lending market as well. So I mean, they've got pretty novel mechanics, but I don't see if you have 30 million DeFi TVL, how that translates to 50 mil FDV. But
exactly,
I don't know. Wasabi did some novel stuff. I quite like them. But yeah.
Yo, I'm there. I'm like, you know what? I think this token makes more sense around 20 mil, maybe 30 mil, but 50 is hard. I don't see a ton of upside, and I hope I'm wrong. But yeah, I'm completely sitting this one out. I want to watch how it goes. Now, again, different story when the robotics projects launch. And if those launch at 50 mil, especially because I think a lot of people want to speculate on robotics things for the first time. And I'm like, I'll probably get into those if they're right at 50 mil, if I can get in right there. But yeah, I don't see the opportunity on this one. But we get to learn the new Titan experience. We'll see how it goes. We'll see.
Question totally off this topic, but kind of on the topic of Enzo brought up the TVL of Wasabi. I saw a post, I think it was yesterday, about Bera Chain and how Bera was, I think maybe whenever, a year ago, 4 bill TVL down to 130 mil. Is that accurate?
I have a feeling that's right.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, I mean, It's more, but the thing is with that kind of stuff, it was more like mercenary TVL and a lot of like artificial TVL. So instead of kind of engaging in an ICO, you basically park capital on the chain in order to get token allocation. And they did a lot of initiatives there. And then effectively when you got the token allocation and the amount of activations on the chain dried up, so there wasn't many places to put your capital, it just naturally made sense to off ramp.
Okay, it's fair.
Which is why you see it. But Berra did a lot of novel, cool stuff, and they get a lot of slack. But I actually really like Smokey and the team.
I like him too. In fact, I need to hit Smokey up again because we talked back in November about him coming on, and he said he would.
That'd be cool.
I like Berra. I like, we had a lot of guys in Kongs. Draco being one of them is really deep in Berra chain, and I like the culture of Steady Teddies. They're an ecosystem like I have no hate towards. So
I like the energy there. It's like it's super degen, but also like I do feel there's some like professional. I think there's some actual real builders there. So I for whatever reason I like them. I've always liked him, but also I have no desire to be in the ecosystem and trade and there's I don't think there's much there to begin with. So
I thought some of those guys on Berra had either they were like previous team of Ohm, but like these were like DeFi centric like builders. So it made a lot of sense that they were looking to build a chain with like DeFi mechanics, etc. But tough sledding out there.
Very much so. NFT market also looking interesting. Also, look, I've had some interesting conversations with friends, guys who used to be deep in NFTs, deep. Like this was, for a lot of people, this is your main thing. For me, it's my main thing. And that doesn't mean I'm trading, because I'm, for the most part, not. But it's the thing I enjoy the most. It's the thing I pay the most attention to. And I feel a kind of way about it. Not that it's about to be explosive. I don't feel that at all. I don't. But I feel it's interesting when I have friends who tell me, don't buy NFTs. There's no collectors yet. It's a different time. That's a dead meta. Friends who separately just say, I don't care anymore. I'm not even looking. It's just not for me. Like the NFT side has lost everybody for the most part. All that's left is really like believers, true believers, maybe guys like me, and maybe it's us that are like, if not now, and I don't think now that we see anything crazy, but a few years down the road, I believe it's back to being absolutely insane. I believe that. I do. I think insane comes down the road again. It gets me excited a little bit to know I'm trading in that environment. And that environment reminds me, I mentioned this to you, Henry, I think like yesterday, like 21 was so special because you didn't have a ton of new NFTs being created, right? Back then you didn't have a mint a day. You didn't have sometimes a mint a week. You maybe had, 3 weeks or 4 weeks where you had a new NFT minting. So you didn't have a ton of new supply. And you truthfully didn't have a lot of people. And then that changed that summer when a flood of people came in. And then all of a sudden you had that, not a ton of supply, tons of buyers. Well, everybody's portfolio was 7 figures plus, which was amazing. And I'm like, dude, I saw a tweet out there, somebody talking about the wins that still happen. Every year there's something that happens where you have the chance to make 20 grand, 30 grand. It happens, and it happens more than I think people will maybe admit. And I just think that it happens and it's not talked about a lot. But anyway, what I was telling Henry is we're kind of recreating that environment. Very few people here that still give a shit about NFTs. They are still winning. At some point, I believe the people who left come back, and then you recreate that perfect storm of there haven't been mints really. There's been some, but not a lot. And there's money to be made. People come flooding back at some point to go take part and make those wins too. And all of a sudden, game on. It's the scenario that played out in 21, maybe happening again. So it's hopium. I know it's hopium, but it's feeling kind of interesting.
I got some pretty strong takes on it, but I don't think 21 can take place again for NFTs. The main reasoning, and I actually spoke in WSK about this last night, but I actually think utility was tied to the macro. And by macro, I just mean the wider NFT space, not the micro, i.e. the projects. Because if you think about 21 and you think about the TAM was like 6 to 8 billion, kind of 500,000 people as well. Whereas the TAM now is so small and the amount of participants are so low. Like if you look at the unique sales on CloneX just there, that's 663. And they're just cycling the same sales to the same people, to the 1,000 subset. So realistically, the utility was so heavily dependent on the wider industry. And what I mean by that is the whitelist they were getting, the airdrop certain projects were getting, the kind of ability to dilute your project and mint new collections, and the fact that that would still have value because the TAM was big enough, that element, and that can't exist unless it floods back in masses with liquidity. But then the second notion, which I think not enough people talk about, is maturity. So because all of these buyers and users have gone through the cycle of buying these NFTs, hearing the false promises, getting wrecked, losing a lot of money, there's a maturity cycle in that. Every time you get wrecked, you learn. And every time you buy something and it doesn't transpire, you learn, etc., etc. And I just think the market has matured to a point now where I don't think the craze and euphoria can come back in the same way. That's not to say that these projects that you see here and other projects in 10, 15 years time, when they actually translate into collectibles, can be worth a hell of a lot of money. But I think when looking at NFTs and hoping for 2021 back, not saying that's what you thought was going to happen or what you want, but a lot of people come back to this concept. I don't really think it can happen. I think the market's a lot more mature and the TAM isn't big enough.
The response you gave in Kongs yesterday, which was actually on the backside of somebody posting something in Kongs, and Enzo, I think you were defending me a bit because the post in Kongs was sort of a post from a holder about how, like, basically, you know, in Kongs, okay, we've essentially ended most utility for a lot of the NFTs, right? And we went to a token first ecosystem. And it was like, okay, gens don't yield banana anymore. Babies don't yield shards, which was the reason people bought them. VXs don't have play and collect. And, you know, and I addressed it as nicely as I could, which was like, oh, and then was talking about how the rest of the space is about 50% down from their all-time highs, whereas we're much further. And I'm like, well, that's not true. Bored Apes were 125, 150 ETH, and they're down to 5. Pudgies ran to 30, and they're down to 5. Doodles were at, what, 16 to 20, and they're, you know, sub 3/4 ETH. And I was like, a Genesis Kong was 0.01 ETH, right? And a gen could get a baby if they bred, and they got a free VX, and they got free Genkai, and they got free Prometheans. A baby got a free VX. We didn't sell any of them. They were made by the community, the babies. They got a VX, they got Genkai, they got a Promethean. A VX got a Promethean and a Genkai. And so my point to all of that was, like, as a project, like, yes, I understand people bought across the entire spectrum of the secondary, from 200 ETH to 100 ETH to 30 ETH to whatever price. My last baby, I paid 7 ETH for, 6.9 ETH, I think, in March of 22. And you can't build for that. Like what is it that you think a project is going to provide for assets, whether it's 1 collection, 4 collections, whatever the case may be, that is going to make that go up? When I say it's impossible, the thing is, 5 years later, 4.5 years later in this space, you start to look at it and you're like, okay, well, why are Pudgy Penguins going up in price? Why is Bored Ape Yacht Club going up in price? Well, first off, they have a much larger KOL network. They have holders who are willing to part with liquidity. If people are still willing to speculate on those assets, thinking or hoping that whatever the project does is going to have a direct correlation to the floor price. But it's real limited in what projects that can actually still work in. Because look at Doodles. And Doodles has had some of the biggest Web 2 collaborations in Web 3 between them and Pudgies, right? I mean, they're the leaders when it comes to that. And a Doodle, which pre-TGE was about 8 ETH, is now, like, I think around 0.4, 0.5 ETH. With partnerships like McDonald's, Adidas, G-Shock. We've talked about all these things. So to Enzo's point, like, yes, there's been a massive maturity. There are still retards out there, by the way, plenty of them. I was in the spaces the other night and I'm listening to people and I'm just like, wow, there are still people in this space that actually believe the 21 meta is coming back like it was in 21. Like, you still believe that? If you still believe like that is happening, I don't know if you're paying attention to what is actually happening in this space, which I'm not saying is all vaporware, but it certainly isn't a correlation of utility to the price of the asset. And it's not always necessarily a correlation of mind share to the price of the asset. Because Doodles had lots of mind share and their last mint went horribly for lots of reasons. But yeah, the space has matured. And I think in the end, we were in voice chat last night. You were in there, Huda, and it's like what you really have in the end is your home base, your community, your center, for which anything that's happening in crypto, whether it's RWAs, tokenized stocks, whatever the next meta is, if it's robotics and AI and tokens surrounding them, park your ass in a place where you're going to be in tune with what's happening, because that is the best fucking value you can get out of any ecosystem. It's not, oh, CyberKong's just partnered with, Stanley Cups to make fucking new thermoses. It's, when I'm in this community, this is the information that I have access to when things are heating up or before they become the meta, that there's somebody in there that's calling something early, and that's my opportunity to really, sharpen my edge and get into something early. And I think people really, it's not to say they've gotten lazy. I just think that people think that these things that happen, Artifact is a great example. 4 years ago, or 3.5 years ago, whenever it was that Nike bought Artifact, like that was the bullish thing that took CloneX to 10 ETH or something like that. And now people are bullish years later that they sold them. Like, can you imagine that cycle? Explain that to anyone. They were hyped as fuck that Nike, or Nike, I think as they call them across the pond, bought an NFT project, and now the price 2 or 3x is because they sold them. It's crazy.
It's what we do.
Rant
to be
over.
clear,
Rant over.
It was a great rant, and I'll clarify. When I say I think NFTs are going to come back and do like the 21 thing again, I really do believe it. I do. Now, not the current form of NFTs. It's not just we hit a year and all of a sudden everything is as is and people start buying and spending those prices. Don't see it. That doesn't make sense. But what I'm hoping, like I say, I live in this hopium scenario, and certain things need to play out, but I hope it's more like the equity game has changed, that like wrecked brands, the NFT equals actual ownership of the brand, and along with that you need a Web3 brand that actually turns into a like worldwide phenomenon. You need that. I think that's one of those things that could bring it back. And I also still picture, we won't get deep here, but Elon Musk in a recent interview was talking again about UHI, universal higher income, and this leans into robotics and people maybe not having jobs, or if you have jobs, you're paid more, all that. Where there's a different world that's coming here at some point. It may be here as soon as, 5 years off. Same time frame where we think Bitcoin could be at $1 million at that point. Maybe it's not there. Maybe it's 500,000. But the point is, Bitcoin's worth a lot more. Crypto guys have made riches, maybe generational wealth. That at the same time as your NFT equals ownership in a brand. Imagine if it's Igloo Inc. or if Wrecked Brands is just this, billion-dollar company. I think that could change things and get things excited. That could kick off that really, really exciting market again. And again, I think that 21 thing, I think a version of that comes back, something much bigger than we've seen the past 3 years.
Yeah, I think there's real use case for NFTs. I think you've seen some great examples in the past year as well. Like if you look at Fluffle collection with Mega ETH representing X percentage of their supply, almost acting as like an ICO function. A lot of the art-based NFT collections, Xcopy, Glazers, a lot of algorithmic art is pretty important and could have some value going forward for gaming. There's a lot of gaming projects on Abstract, like NFTs is a vital component to gaming. It's very important. I just think with PFPs I almost use like the watches analogy. So you buy a watch because you like the aesthetic, you like the history of the house, but you don't walk out that watch store and unless it's Patek, Rolex, Audemars, and expect to flip it instantly. And it's the similar for like NFT profile pictures at the moment. If you knew that the TAM wasn't big enough to buy your Tudor or buy your Tag Heuer, and you come out and expect to be able to flip it, that would be quite an idiotic thing to do. But you can analyze, it's all on chain. You can analyze what the TAM is of the NFT market right now. So why are you expecting someone to come in and buy your profile picture from 4 years ago, 2 years ago, a project that existed now? It's just really illogical. But what will happen with market maturity in the positive way is when you come back in 10 to 15 years time, these actually will be collectibles. Like what Kongs did for the NFT space from an innovative and accessibility point of view and community point of view will be known in 15 years time, and there'll be value there. What Pudgy did as a distribution layer and kind of rewriting how NFTs are perceived from an IP standpoint will be understood, and people will be that will be desired, and people will want that. But you're just in this weird kind of inflection point right now where the market hasn't matured to collector status, and you also don't have a big enough TAM to even expect to be able to flip for profit. But that's kind of my rant over on NFTs.
Yeah, I like it.
Perfect. No, it makes so much sense. When we were in VC last night, I'm not saying people shouldn't be cognizant of what the price of their NFT is, but in the spaces that I was in the other night, this person was talking about how founders should be, they were even talking about Luca. Like, why is Luca not here? First off, it's 8:30 Eastern. Dude probably works a pretty grindy day. And the reality is, like, these people think that the CEO is supposed to be reporting to them monthly, and they were comparing it to like earnings and earnings reports, and how there's quarterly meetings or monthly meetings between shareholders, and I was just listening to that, and I'm like, well, what you bought is a collectible. You bought a product from a company. You know what I mean? You didn't buy. I know everyone in 21 sort of thought they were buying ownership in a company, but what you bought was a product from a company. They don't owe you. If they come out and they talk to you, if they come out and they want to do the town halls, like, great. They don't owe that to you. It's great if they do, but you're not owed that on a monthly basis, that they come in and they go through their financials with you, etc. But yeah, I think to what you're saying, Enzo, like, we're recalibrating. I think that's what's happening, is there's this recalibration. And what we were talking about in VC last night was just sort of the enjoyment of being in the ecosystem, and sort of disconnecting a bit from what is the floor price on any given day, and just being like, oh, this is a cool place. We like to chill. We like to shoot the shit with each other. We like to stay in touch with each other. We like to share info when there's info to be shared. And we know that this is a place where we can be in touch with the market when things are relevant and heating up. But I still think there's a lot of people that don't quite understand that.
No, there isn't. It's like, I always say, it's like me going to my local pub, asking for a pint. It costs £5 and then expecting £7 back. But I bought a good. Do you know what I mean? Similar to how you buy a collectible, you buy a good. You can't be in the mindset where you expect to make profit off everything you do, unless you're trading. But if you're collecting, you're not trading. There's a massive difference.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I made 3 moves this week, and you guys can clown on me for these ones, but I'm going to share what I did and why I did it. 3 specific NFTs, and I'm looking for this risk reward, kind of ratio. I was looking for NFTs that were at their bottom, basically their all-time low, right? We've had this bleeding out over the next few, the past few months, ever since 8Fest. But some projects had bounced back quite a bit. Milady recently, right? Vitalik rocks the Milady PFP. It 2x, I think like a 2x, right? This is a gamble on if this market actually picks up here just in the short term over the next few months, right? I don't know what the rest of the year looks like, but short term, if things pick up and memes pick up and there's some energy, what's already at its bottom that could, I don't know, have some spicy action, but especially if they're meme coin. And these are definitely ones with bigger meme coins. If the meme coin picks up, usually the NFT follows. So one of those NFTs I grabbed is a Project Eon. Grabbed a Project Eon, which is basically at its low. This is down. I got it at 0.37. So grab one of those thinking, okay, if the trenches get hot, we know SPX is going to probably be one of those because we know Murad will get loud on the timeline. We know he's got a very strong cult. It'll get loud. That NFT, again, being at its bottom, I imagine there's something there. Maybe I lose, and we may not get that market at all. We might not get the memes back. And if so, we don't get NFTs back, right? So could lose there, but I don't think it falls that much further than it was already at its low point. 2% or so are listed. They're not really, people farm these on Blur. That's about all I see, but these don't fall significantly. So grab the Project Eon for that. Also got a Rec Guy because a very similar thing, right? It's already basically at its low, I think like 2.28-ish, somewhere in that ballpark. But with all these activations they have coming up and these partnerships and whatnot, they don't move the needle first off. They really don't pump prices when those happen. But, for me, Rec Brands is kind of like, at this point, the North Star for how you take a Web3, brand, IP, whatever, build a business. It's a business that, NFT holders, if you are in the snapshot, you own equity in it. let's see if he can keep pushing that and scaling it. And that's his goal this year. Scale this, grow this into a $1 billion company. I want to be along for that ride there too. But if the rec token pumps, I imagine the NFT comes along with it. And I'm not looking for some big thing, not getting a 10x out of these things, right? Rect guy is not going from 0.25 to 2.5. It's not. But do I think it goes to 0.5, 0.75? Like maybe. And that's that perfect risk reward there where I don't think there's a ton of downside. But there's a 2x in there potentially. And I like the longer time frame. I like that I sit on it and I'm not going to touch it for a while, right? But this year, maybe. And again, same thing with the Project Eon. Now, the other thing I like a lot, and I think is actually probably still a really solid play, is art. And not any old art, just, good art, X copy type art, that stuff, right? And so a lot of people know I got a whitelist for, what was it called? Cage Zero. That was the brand new X copy mint. Locked that in, pumped to have that. Dude, I sold it the next day. Wasn't planning to, but I had a thesis. I had an idea. And the idea was, man, there's another very significant art collection out here that I don't think I'll have the chance to get something like that often, maybe ever. And I'm like, you could sell this right now, buy that other one, have some ETH left over, and I think you probably win relatively easily on that trade. That trade.
Did you get a Beeple?
I did.
Oh, no shit.
I bought a regular animal, which I think is very undervalued. I really, now, before I bought, I checked with a couple other guys who are very deep in the art space, like very well connected in the very wealthy side, like the ETH Cabal guys. I'm like, dude, I look at regular animals. I think they're way underpriced. I think they're harder to understand. And I think people forget or don't know, or what, there's a lot of things, but they don't realize it's a Beeple 1-1. Where I look at his editions, his 1 of 100 editions, like those, and the floor on those is like 6 ETH, right? He's got the V-Friends edition too. It's like, a little over 1,000 editions, and it's at 0.2. So, of course, he has stuff that's cheaper, but his 1-1s are 20 ETH, or more. I don't think this is going there exactly, but I do think the space kind of overlooked what this is. They're 1-1 sitting at, 0.6 floor, 0.65. Anyway, I chatted with a good friend. Like, dude, I see this as a very special collection. I love them. I love the message. I love how controversial it was. I love that he angered the art world. And I'm like, that to me matters, that there was hate around it. And I think that's a secret ingredient for something special. And he, man, not only agreed, told me he feels like this is maybe the cornerstone piece of the Beeple collection. And I don't know if I would go that far, but I do think this is more important than people are thinking and talking about right now. He compared it to, remember that banana that was taped to a wall?
Yeah.
Like, silly, people hated. It sold for $3 million. That hate can really mean something. Again, I think that's a super secret ingredient on a special collection. So again, saw it, realized I'm not going to have the chance for a Beeple 1-1. I do think these are mispriced. I can see him at 10 ETH. I can see him at 15. Maybe things get crazier. And of course, if the market gets hot, yeah, they could do something silly. Knowing that Beeple's going to be tweeting about these, that he's giving away 10 of these. He's going to have an online scavenger hunt. It'll bring everybody's eyeballs on this, trying to win one. But again, I think people are going to look, Beeple 1-1 priced at 6.5. I'm like, felt to me like a smarter play, and you can't go wrong owning a Beeple. So those are my 3 plays: the Rec Guy, the Project Eon, and a Beeple regular animal. And same thing with risk reward. Downside of this, I have a very hard time seeing a Beeple at like 3-ish ETH. And if that happens, fine. I'll take a little bit of a hit there. I don't think I go to 0 on it, but I think that upside potential made this, like, to me, very, very exciting. So I'm a Beeple owner now, which is awesome. And
congrats, man.
Thank you. And I just think art is still an actual really, really interesting play. Just art, good art. The X copy stuff, the Beeple stuff, the Sam Spratt stuff, ACK. It's a small group of them, but I think if you get the chance for those, I think those do very well. Not 5 years out. I think even this year, kind of an immediate thing. So I think there's plays out there. I do.
Love it. We got to do some bullish bearish, man. I liked all the plays. We're past that time.
Holy shit.
I liked all the plays that you mentioned, and congrats on the Beeple.
Well, thank you, sir. All right. I got them all queued up. Do you want to queue up?
Enzo, yeah.
Enzo.
Oh yeah.
I heard a noise. I didn't know if he was saying something.
No, I was just going to say I like the plays as well, especially the last one.
Enzo, you remember bullish bearish? How we do this?
I do. Yeah, I've never done it. Let's do it.
Let's fucking go. Okay, 1 sec, boys.
Bullish bearish, bullish bearish, bullish bearish, bullish bearish, bullish bearish, bullish bearish, bullish bearish.
So funny. Yeah, it gets me every time, man. All right. I threw a couple in here just for funs. CES 2026 again. You saw all the robots. It wasn't just robots there. We've got a brand new type of Lego that was revealed. It actually has a computer chip in it, a microphone, a sensor, whatever. Your Legos are now a little more interactive, making noises and responding to your touch. Kids got some cool ass toys these days. I'll say that. But funny enough, Legos are more like a grown up toy now, it seems like. But smart bricks is part of Lego's new future. What do we think about that? I'm bullish on that because I'm a fucking nerd.
We'll go up in order. So we'll go you, Enzo, me.
I'm loyal to nanoblocks, so I'm bearish.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go bearish. Yeah, I'm gonna go bearish.
Bearish. We have Sir Ian McKellen and Elijah Woods returning as Gandalf and Frodo in the Lord of the Rings Hunt for Gollum. Brand new Lord of the Rings movie with the OG characters. Oh man, that's kind of exciting. I love the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Henry, we probably saw him in the theater together, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
With it, special. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you could be bearish on it. I'm bullish as hell.
Oh, I'm very bullish.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, bullish.
Cool story. All right, moving on. Doomsday fish sightings. If you guys haven't seen this, we have these doomsday fish. I don't know if these are those oar fish. I don't know if that's them, I think. But anyway, you got these fish that live at the bottom of the ocean. You know those like deep sea monsters. They look like monsters. Live at the bottom of the ocean, the coldest, darkest part. And in the past like 2-ish weeks, we've had, I believe, 2 or 3 of these that have come up to the surface. They die up on the surface, but usually they're a sign that something bad is coming. Compare that or add to that there's some, I don't know, I guess some solar activity that has caused some earthquakes, and some of those earthquakes are drawing a line to a big earthquake coming in California. So be on the lookout for that. This is the prediction. We'll say that first off. A big earthquake is coming to California in the next couple months. That's the prediction. The oarfish or the doomsday fish is one of those big signals. Crazy stuff. But bullish or bearish on the doomsday fish? Do they work? And I'm going to go bullish on the doomsday fish. I do think it's a sign.
Yeah, I'm bullish. Study geography, saw this a lot with animals, so I'm bullish.
I am bullish on anything that creates anarchy like this. So bullish. Yeah.
That's what's up. Okay. Dave Ramsey. Used to like him. I don't think I like him at all anymore, but says online sports gambling is destroying a generation of young men. And boy, I go back and forth. I'm like, he's not wrong. I also think it's a wicked boomer take. I'm going to go bearish on Dave Ramsey's gambling take. Yuck.
Yeah, I'm bearish on the take. I think it's other issues in society that creates the opportunity for gambling. So I'm bearish on the take.
Yeah, I think Dave Ramsey probably says this about anything cool like gambling, porn, street fighting, etc. So I'm bearish.
I feel like if it's a threat to the way he achieved wealth, then it's not good. It's not the right way. It just feels like a dude who's stuck in a decades prior. I don't know. Back on the robots, but Boston Dynamics humanoid robot. Look how he moves. Like, just watch. He does some cool shit. Robots, I think, are. I don't think. I know they're getting better and better and better, and soon they will replace. They will replace us. But this is the Boston Dynamics robot. Very fucking cool. Very personally, very bullish on robots.
Oh, I'm bearish, man. Too dystopian for me. I like the real world.
I like the idea of getting rid of some employees to be able to have one of these Atlas robots, fill that spot. So I'm bullish on it.
Yeah, we were chatting again yesterday. Would you spend $100,000 to buy a robot, one-time thing, or $100,000 a year on an employee? It's like, right? Like, of course you go robot, man. Jeez, crazy. Costco. Oh, I didn't even read this one before. Costco dropped the ultimate doomsday deal: a 25-year emergency food supply stacked on a pallet. $3,000. You get 600 cans of freeze-dried meals, 36,000 servings. Last decades, pasta, potatoes, desserts. Fuck, dude. Very bullish. In fact, I need one of these.
I'm bearish. I'm not eating any of that.
I'm bullish, but I would just caution anyone, like, make sure if you get one of these that you're in a place that you can hunker down, because you're not, you're not towing this with you when you leave. But I think it's great.
Wait, do you get the whole pallet, or are you getting one pail of it for 3,000?
No. It's a whole pallet that
Oh.
has. Yeah. It's sizable. So if you're in your bunker, great. If you have a bug out bag and you have to leave, this is not for you.
How can you? I don't know if you can do some quick math. How much is that per meal? $3,000 for 36,000 meals.
36. Is that 36,000 meals?
Yeah.
Is that like 10 cents a meal? No. Is that a $10? No, 10 cents, I think.
10 cents.
36,000 at
like
10
80 cents, I
cents.
think.
Yeah, like 80.
Dude, why not just buy this and this is your like dinner for the next few years?
Yeah. For us crypto bros, it may not be a bad idea.
That's not extra bullish here. Wow.
I like MREs. I eat them occasionally. I have cases of them, and like every once in a while, I dig in. I like the lo mein. Okay.
I read this and dude, this is funny. A pilot cancels flight due to safety concerns. The concern is he's just not feeling it. Am I reading this right? A pilot canceled American airline flight for one brutally honest reason. I'm not feeling it. No engine failure, no weather chaos.
Okay, so there's a video with it, and I think he was coming from Hawaii. And I think that he just was they make it seem like he's just like, I'm not feeling it.
Not in the
I think
mood.
there was something maybe with a fuel filter, and he just was not feeling like safe about taking this thing for 6 hours over water.
Okay. Okay. With that context, very bullish. Very bullish.
Yeah, I'm bullish. Some context. I'm actually incredibly scared of flying. Like I don't fly, so I'm bullish on him not feeling it because I'm not feeling it either.
Enzo and I were going to Singapore, we were going to Hong Kong from Singapore, and we were taking off. We were playing a game, like on one of our screens, like a 2-person trivia game or something. And like as we were taking off, he's like, "Hey, I have to stop. I can't do this." I'm like, "Is everything good?" He's like, "I'm just like terrified of flying." Although, like, for somebody who's like kind of terrified of flying, you do fantastic. But I could imagine that would be bullish for you. Honestly, I think it's great for a pilot to make that kind of decision because you're going to get a lot of shit for it. But like, hey, if you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it.
Dude, absolutely.
Sorry, I went way too long on that.
That was great. This gentleman has a 6-gram bowl. Holy fuck. I can't remember if I smoked.
Dude, this guy has lungs of steel. This is like blazing in Kongs. Wow. But I mean, he does this for a little bit of time.
Wow. That's fucking bonkers, dude.
Right?
Holy shit.
Yeah, and he's not even done. I mean,
he just keeps ripping it.
Yeah.
He smokes the whole thing, huh?
Whole thing.
Wow. Oh, that's so wild. Very, very bullish. That's incredible. Cool piece, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm bullish.
I think it's cool. I guess I would say I'm bullish on that. Bullish.
Bullish. Very cool. Man, we got a couple of, I don't know, trading, I don't know, copy trade ideas, theses, whatever. The Pelosi copy trade has been dethroned by the inverse Kramer. So this is as of, I think, last year. So for the year 2025, if you copy traded Pelosi, you'd be up 25%. But if you did the inverse Kramer, you're up 60%, man. He's high batting average, that guy. I love it. Bullish on Kramer.
I'm bullish on inverse trading functions. There's a guy on the Kongs team called Ant. If you had an inverse trading on him, you'd be up a good 7 figures over the year.
It's so true. We need an inverse Ant. I'm bullish on the inverse Kramer. I probably would be more bullish on the inverse Ant.
Interesting. Someone should make that. Someone should make that.
We really should. Top Blast's a lot of shit, man. For real.
That's crazy. Oh man. We all know that guy. There should be a tournament. There should really be a tournament that sets that up. The worst traders, and you've got something that copy trades them. Winner takes a pot or something. But it should go to the guy who you're inverse trading to. They should get a little cut of it. They probably need it. Okay. If you're tired of getting junk mail, go ahead and open it. If there's a return envelope with the no postage necessary, if mailed in the U.S., game on. Cram as much crap into the envelope as it can hold. It should be way overweight. The company sending the junk mail has to pay the difference in postage because of the weight. Interesting. I didn't know this. This one happens to have an entire daily newspaper in it. Oh, yeah, that's cool, man. I didn't know they pay the extra. I had no
Yeah.
fucking clue. So awesome.
Neither.
Bullish on that. I always fuck with spam callers and stuff. So yes.
Yeah, I'm bullish.
Yeah, I didn't know if they do this around the world or if it's just in the US. I'm bullish. I'm gonna start doing this actually, and I'm gonna put like metal in it, something to really weigh it down. Because fuck these people.
Dude, that's great. Had no clue. Heavy trucks in China given a personality. Oh, dude,
Right?
China seems so fucking cool. That's badass. If you can't see, well, we're not on spaces. It's only video. You can see, but this is a truck that's got basically a face. It's a whole character coming down the road. That's badass, dude. Very bullish.
Yeah, it looks like Cars, the film. I'm bullish.
Yeah, bullish. I think it's awesome.
Love it. Were there any others that you wanted us to hit that we didn't get?
Let me just check here, sir. Hang on.
Oh, we got like Mars.
Yeah, the Mars one's pretty
one's
cool.
neat.
I mean,
let's hit the Mars one. That can be our last, unless there's others.
I'll check. You do the Mars one, and I'll
right.
just.
Yeah, this one's wild. And also, we recently got some like generated images from Pluto, and they're AI, by the way, but they're really fucking cool. Man, the galaxy is incredible. All right, this is Mars high def photos, stitched together to make it look like it's kind of a video. It's not. But
Oh, I didn't know that. That changes, and that doesn't change that much. I didn't know that.
but it's fascinating, isn't it? Like, feels like you're on the ground there. This is surface of Mars. Man, so cool. So cool. Reminds me of the movie Dune, kinda. Oh, that's awesome. Very bullish on Mars.
Yeah, I'm bullish. It looks like the Martian, the film.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Bullish on it, and yet there's no part of me that wants to go to that place. It doesn't look like a place I'd want to go, but I think it's cool to see.
Yeah. Man, badass. Okay, cool. Any others?
No, that was it, dude. You did it.
Nailed it.
We did it. All of us, Enzo, you, me, together. We did it, and another show done.
I dig it. Enzo, it's a real treat having you here, man. We should make this a regular thing if you got the time. Man, but it's good hearing another perspective, especially from people much smarter than me. I won't speak for you, Henry, but probably
Anytime you hear anything with a British accent, it just sounds better. I'm a firm believer.
I'm just making it up and using my accent. Like, Google what I said. None of it makes any sense. But no, guys, I really appreciate you having me on. I'm more than down to come on anytime.
Oh, that's awesome. It's funny. I said this, I think, in chat the other day. Like, I didn't know, like, we all know about the UK, London, or England. Like, we know about it. It's part of American history. But, like, I didn't know really a ton about the culture or the people because I didn't really have, like, British friends. But through Adzi and Enzo, I have, like, a massive appreciation for, like, cool Brits. Just, like, you know what? In a space that's filled with, Europeans and Asians and, all kinds of ethnicities and cultures, it is the people from the UK that I feel like the closest in style and to Americans. It just feels like you're talking to an American with a cooler accent. So always have appreciated having Enzo around.
That's fucking excellent. Excellent. All right, guys, make sure you hit the like on the show wherever you're watching. Follow the Cyberkongs over on X. Follow Chart Monkeys over on it. What is Chain Monkeys? Is that even a thing?
Sounds like it should be.
It does, yeah. But follow Chart Monkeys on X as well. Guys, we got a spicy year coming up. We'll be with you every step of the way. We'll see you back here next week. Goodbye. Ooh.